Welcome to another episode of Scared. We're here tonight to investigate the Garibaldi-Meucci Museum located in Rosebank on Staten Island. Our friends at the Staten Island Paranormal Society informed us of the possible paranormal activity at this location. Activity which they claim to have recorded during a previous investigation of their own. Over the years, several of the staff have reported feelings of being watched and other strange occurrences. We've come prepared tonight to investigate with both psychic and scientific elements. Do the spirits of those who once lived here still reside in the walls of this historic landmark? That's what we're here to find out. So now, turn off your lights, turn up your volume, and get ready to be scared.
My name is Emily Gear. I'm the curator-director of the Garibaldi-Meucci Museum.
The museum is a national landmark historic home, and it was the home where Garibaldi once stayed with Antonio Meucci, who actually invented the telephone before Alexander Graham Bell.
Essentially, the mission of the museum is to hold collections that have anything to do with Giuseppe Garibaldi and Antonio Meucci, or the role of Italian Americans in the United States, and then also to conduct programs that would educate the public about these ideas.
Built around 1840, the house itself became a hideout for Italian political refugees and a meeting place for the men of the Italian community as well as the Freemasons. Mired in an atmosphere of revolution, secrecy, and misfortune, the house was moved twice, coming to finally rest at the corner of Tompkins and Chestnut Avenue. Here, in 1907, a pantheon was erected over it to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Giuseppe Garibaldi, liberator of Italy and the most famous refugee who sought safe harbor there. Today, the house is a museum where some still experience the effects of the building's tumultuous past. Antonio Meucci was a prolific inventor and a not-so-secret genius. He is considered by Italians and by much of the Latin world to be the father of the telephone, an invention he perfected on site. He supported himself, his wife, and the endless stream of refugees from the fruits of his other inventions, such as the smokeless candle, his own type of carbonated beverage, the lactometer, and a new method of canning. His telephone, like most of his other inventions, met with misfortune. Meucci spoke little English. Consequently, in an age of little or no business regulation, his inventions were stolen from him by the very companies he trusted to produce them. With few English language skills, he had little legal recourse and grew increasingly mistrustful and bitter. Dejected, Meucci returned to his life of candle making and tinkering with electricity. He was a well-known Freemason in his community and was regarded with much respect. However, outside the community, he didn't command the respect he felt he deserved. On October 18, 1889. Meucci died penniless in his home on Staten Island, vowing that his work would have to be recognized sooner or later. Today, the house has only partially divulged its secrets. According to some first-hand accounts, the youngest daughter of Meucci's housekeeper and gardener may have actually been Meucci's child, his only surviving descendant. This was kept a secret, however, and the pressure of so many concealed truths is rumored to have pushed the mother to suicide. The house served as a Masonic meeting place where original documents described bizarre rituals being performed. The strange occurrences continued after Meucci's death. There was controversy over the use and placement of Meucci's ashes, which are now buried on the museum's grounds. In 1914, an anarchist riot took place on the grounds, where several attendees of a July 4th celebration were injured. The building was abandoned for many years and was set ablaze by an arsonist. There was much turmoil about what to do with the structure, some viewing it as a valuable memorial, others as a contaminated eyesore. Today, it is a museum where thousands visit each year. The mysteries still remain, however, and are evident in the strange experiences described by staff and visitors alike.
I have worked at the museum for almost 6 years, and I've been here since February of 2002. And since that time, I've experienced a lot of strange stuff, even the first day that I came to interview here. More often than not, it's just weird feelings, but sometimes we hear all kinds of things and things go missing, that kind of stuff.
And yes, I do believe in ghosts, but I also tend to be very skeptical about it because I'm really conscious of everyone looking at me like I'm insane.
The SCARE team came highly recommended by the Staten Island Paranormal Society, and we are interested in continuing the investigation for our own knowledge.
I need a personal paranormal experience of my own to convince me, without a doubt.
Even though we don't know all the answers, science will be able to explain it.
I don't know if I'm too much of a believer. I can't see what's out there, so I don't know what to believe.
I'm usually able to pull emotions and to pull images off of objects that I touch.
Religion is a very strong part of the paranormal activities because to believe in God and to believe in the soul, which as you can't see, but you believe in it.
I need a personal paranormal experience of my own to convince me, without a doubt, undeniably, even if I can't get it on camera. If I see something, an apparition, people, I've seen them, not a picture, I need to see it physically in front of me. If I can catch some kind of anomalies on my camera that obviously isn't us. EVPs don't do it for me. Cold spots don't really do it for me. So I kind of need to see something with my own two eyes or touch something with my own two hands. If I have my own paranormal experience, I'll be the first person to tell everybody about ghosts. But until I believe it, I'm not going to try to convince other people.
The first night at Garibaldi, we had a different psychic, and on that night, marred with technical problems.
I kept looking at the building and I would see lights turning on and off, and I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, they must be having some kind of wild paranormal time, but it turned out that they were having technical difficulties.
Of course, there's always a certain amount of problems to be expected on any shoot, but I mean, there was just an abundance of problems that even a skeptic would have to kind of take notice of it. And it seemed like every time we turned around, a camera battery died, a light went out.
Nothing worked right on any floor. It was really, for the most part, a wasted night.
However, on the second night, we didn't encounter the same problems. equipment set up. We're ready to go. Lisa's up first.
I enjoy working with the psychics because they open up a world I cannot see.
I'm here with Lisa Ann, a psychic, who will share with us what she sees and feels. First impression, anything.
When we come through the gate, I get very anxious. That's my first impression. And as I look around, I see a lot of people on this front lawn. And I feel like at one time there was either an accident, it's people that were hurt, that were getting some kind of first aid treatment here. I also, for some reason, keep seeing there was a cemetery in this area. I don't know if it's right under where this house was built, but I keep seeing tombstones all around the surrounding area of the house.
Lisa Ann had no idea where the shoot was until an hour before we started. We figured this is the safest way to handle a psychic investigation. This way, there's nothing outside to influence what they see or say.
As soon as you enter, there's a really strong feeling right here. And I'm just seeing flashes of a lot of different times and a lot of different things that this house was used for. And I feel very lightheaded here, and I feel very, very anxious.
Let's go check out the basement. Okay, hold on one sec. Let me turn on the light down here. It's extremely dangerous.
Working with the psychics is always interesting because they see things I can't see. They feel things I can't feel. It definitely piques my interest and in a way scares me.
Okay, I'm very drawn to this back corner here. I feel like there are underground tunnels somehow connected to this house. I feel like people were either hid out here or like protected from something. I'm just getting, it was a specific sector of people that didn't want to be found.
Lisa gets impressions in a room of what happened in the past, and she also can speak with spirits that are still lingering.
This is an impression of what happened. So I'm not actually feeling a spirit that's here or talking to a specific person right now. I'm just picking up on the impressions.
That's what does that impression have to do with that? Like, just like, how can you feel an impression?
It almost feels like a magnet pulling you. Like I could go in that direction, I could go in any direction, but I feel drawn to one specific place. These rooms over here have kind of a happy feeling to them. Like I see people dancing. Maybe it was used for entertainment a lot, social events, fundraising, because people seem to be dressed very nice, like they had money in this room. But this hallway over here has a totally different energy. This hallway is very active. A lot of people have come through here. Also, there's a lot of activity in this house at night, and I feel like these rooms, again, were used for some kind of meetings. I keep hearing like a society or a religion that everybody didn't accept, so only certain sectors of the community were invited to this.
She knew what was there, and she knew nothing about the spot before we went in.
But they had a very strong religious background to them too. But they were very big, I want to say they were very big players in their community, and they kind of worked together.
And they were not in the public eye.
No, their group was not. I don't think unless you were in the group, you even knew the group existed.
I've worked with several psychics before. She really impressed me. It's what she felt and saw, and what I knew about the place. It was quite impressive.
And there's a man in this hallway. He is a spirit that's still here, and he's in a military uniform. And he kind of watches the people that come in and out.
Will he mention the name?
When you asked me, I just heard the name Marcus. He says he stays here to make sure of what people's true intentions are.
I found it very interesting that she mentioned that, because actually the house is situated backwards right now. So the opposite door, the one that's now the back door, would have been the front door at that time. So it's very interesting that someone is guarding the door, especially because of the kinds of meetings that took place here. There would have been a sentinel, as there are now in Masonic and other kinds of fraternal order meetings.
this room has a very heavy feeling. Very, very heavy feeling. I feel like there was an older woman in here. She may have been the wife. I feel like I'm very, very sick. And I feel like she either passed of pneumonia, something having to do with heart or upper chest, because I feel like my chest is very heavy when I'm in this room.
Has she mentioned the name?
There's something with the letter E. That's all I'm getting. The E initial.
Esther Meucci more than likely did stay in this room, and she in fact suffered from some severe arthritis for many, many decades, and she would have died in this home, but she was actually confined to her bed or her chair for a good deal of her life.
And she keeps talking about a Margaret. I think Margaret may have been the nurse.
She did have a nurse who took care of her, and that may be what Lisa was sensing.
And she said the name of Meucci's wife in the room that Meucci's wife lived and died in. That was extremely eerie.
And I see her just kind of wandering around the room, and I feel her walking into that hallway and coming back in here. And when I try to connect with her, she says that she still walks around here.
Wow.
And is that active or an impression?
That's active. She still does that to this day.
Esther is actually buried outside now, but she wasn't originally buried here. She was moved here in the 1980s, but now she's here with Meucci, who's also buried outside.
I get a very strong male energy in this room.
Is it a negative energy, positive energy?
It's not a negative energy, but it's a very serious person that I would not want to mess with. I feel like they weren't an evil person, but if they thought that somebody did them wrong, then they would take care of the problem. And that's the way I'm hearing it.
So this would be the master of the house, the
Yeah.
big man.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
he's referring to?
Yes. Because there's a very male presence, a very strong male energy here.
And that's impression or active?
This is impression, but I feel like people have seen him. I feel like people have seen a figure. He doesn't come through as an apparition. It's more like a shadow. Or you'll be standing there and you'll think somebody walks by, that kind of feeling. He was an educated man that used his education to pursue what he thought the way things should be. I'm hearing he was a self-described visionary.
Would he be someone who caused good or bad in his life, or how would he describe the impact of his actions?
I honestly think he left a lot of good behind. I kind of get a feeling that almost he was a little bit ahead of his time, and I also felt like he had a lot of power. And I feel like he had a lot of, see, I don't want to use words like control. I'm hearing words like influence. He had a lot of influence in the community and other businesses and how things were run. I get him as where this is where a lot of his creative ideas came from. This is where he had a lot of his visions. I also feel like he got a lot of stuff in his dreams. Like he saw a lot of things. Should we go back downstairs?
Of course.
Interesting stuff. Convinced yet? Let's see what Paul has to say.
The way I think of myself is I have a gift. I have a gift to feel things. I believe that if anyone, and I mean anyone, if anyone actually practiced and actually opened themselves up to the feeling and not allowed themselves to be scared or to be burdened by what they feel might be hypocrisy or disillusionment, then they might actually be able to feel the same things.
Okay, Paul, wherever you want to go, we will go.
Working with Paul, He could speak with objects, and those objects would tell him a story, and a story he shared with everyone.
I'm usually able to pull emotions and to pull images off of objects that I touch.
Like a cane, it's just a piece of wood to me. But there's a whole story involved. Who owned it? Who held it? That's what has the cane been through, in a way to say.
Everything here is attached to someone, a couple of someone's are passed on. As humans, we're logical beings. We want to deny, we want to categorically deny the existence of anything that we can't prove. You'll hear a lot of people talking about cold spots, warm spots, things along those lines. My experience, what it comes out to is a place where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of human contact. It's a warm spot. Everyone leaves traces of themselves, everything, everywhere they go.
Everybody, in my opinion, has different levels of awareness.
Okay, to explain what I'm feeling, kind of feels like my hand fell asleep, the pins and needles sensation. To translate that, what it amounts to is something important was here. The chair that was downstairs, that wooden chair, that was here. And I'm not getting a strong impression of anything, but that chair was here. Or at least a chair very similar to it.
What I do is based on feelings and perception. It's not 100% accurate because it's feelings.
I believe in spirits. I've seen what I believe to be spirits. Seeing a spirit, you're never going to see a spirit just like I'm seeing you, because they're not actually physically here. You'll see things out of the corner of your eye. You'll see things, move, but there's nothing there that moved. That's why a lot of people, oh, it's the wind, or it was just the settling of the house. I don't think these shelves were here.
What is now the library wasn't a library back when Meucci lived here, but we actually think from drawings that it was the room where Meucci actually died.
Over there. I thought it was the bust, but it's not. There's a focus right about here. Because everywhere I turn, everywhere I look, there are echoes. There's a feel.
Where to next?
Oh, we kind of avoided this room before.
We?
Okay, I kind of avoided this room before.
After you.
This kind of explains a lot. It wasn't anything major. I don't know why they have it here. Okay, it's a shirt. I'm not getting any impressions of it. This doesn't belong here. I feel like this was his sleeping chair. Like he just liked to take naps in this.
And when you say his, do you know who he is?
No.
Is it Garibaldi?
Garibaldi's room was obviously the room that he stayed in while he was here, but after Garibaldi left, Meucci kept it exactly as Garibaldi left it for the rest of Meucci's life. He also used the room a lot to go in and to think and to work on things.
But I can picture an older man sitting in this chair napping. And it was like a late afternoon nap. And it was a habit thing. The man that I see here does bear a resemblance to a couple of the statues that I've seen. But I can't tell you if I'm just putting that forward because I saw the statues and my mind is trying to make an actual link to everything, or if it's actually what I feel.
Hopefully what I feel and how I relate to things will be of use to the Scared crew.
These are things I cannot see, I cannot feel, I don't know. But I believe it could be out there.
And hopefully I'll be able to bring a new insight into our investigations.
There's a lot of power in the entire house. That's the man that was sitting in the chair.
Is there any dates coming out?
I
When he was
can't.
in that chair? How old was he?
I can't give you any kind of answers like that because I'm already colored by what I've seen of the dates here. The guy that was down here, dark pants, suspenders, and a dirty white, it seems white, could be beige shirt. But
Any idea why he's down here? Any idea of his project?
he's working, and it wasn't a project. It was, he comes down here to work.
The basement is interesting because it is obviously not original to the house, since the house was moved 2 times. And this last time it was moved after Meucci's death, so the ground that it's sitting on, the basement, would have been built around 1907 when the house was put here.
What is it? Is it an event of the past that keeps happening, or like energy that's stored here? Is it spirits speaking from beyond the grave?
It's the only thing that I can say for sure as to what it was. It was a regular incident in the regular spot.
And it left an impression.
And it left an impression. I don't know who he is because he's not telling me who he is. Do I actually see somebody sitting there and hammering or chiseling or fiddling? No. No, it doesn't work like that. At least not for me. And you know, I kind of wish it did, because then I'd have a lot more interesting stories to tell.
All right, you heard from the psychics. Now let's see if we can get some scientific evidence to back them up.
This time we had some local help. The girls from Staten Island Paranormal Society came by. 2 of the members were actually part of my science team.
I am the founder of Staten Island Paranormal Society, and we have been around for going on a year now, from 2006.
I am the researcher for the group, so I have a nice collection of historical books, some photo albums, some things that are directly from Staten Island Historical Society.
When we were younger, my sister and I made my brother do a report on the ghosts of Staten Island.
I do believe in ghosts. I haven't physically seen any, but I do believe in ghosts.
Years later, I got more into it and more into knowing that you could use more than a camera to find ghosts.
We are on the first floor of the Garibaldi Museum. It's January 13th, 2007, and it is 9:49 in the evening. Amy and I are going to be doing our first sweep of the house. We're on the first floor, and we're going to be pretty much giving a very thorough sweep of the house, as well as going to spots that Amy and her crew have detected paranormal activity in the past.
I guess I need to have scientific proof, but I'm also a believer to an extent. I always tell people that I am the Mulder and the Scully, because I do want to believe, but I do, to an extent, need some hard evidence to believe.
Okay, the detector of choice tonight is the Gaussmaster. This is another EMF detector. It's going to detect electromagnetic fields. And what makes this different from the one we usually use is that this one, instead of measuring just on a colorful scale of green to red, this actually has a scaled readout. This measures units of EMF in milligauss. So it gives us a little bit more information and is a little more accurate.
I have a cell sensor, and that also measures the milligauss on the scale.
We're We're going into the first room here. Now, one thing that's different tonight, as opposed to many nights on our investigations, is you'll notice all the lights are on. We're doing this tonight as a little bit of an experiment ourselves. There's really no scientific evidence to support that lights out makes a difference in investigating. It doesn't necessarily coax anything out. It doesn't necessarily make it easier for ghosts to manifest. It's just, you know, one of those TV things. Being a TV show, we're going to try to go the other way and see what we can find with all the lights on. It's not as spooky, but we might find something just the same.
It was good to have help on the science side. It was good to have people who thought the way I do, and it was good to have help pointing the meters, reading the gadgets, and having a right hand, so to say, in my investigation.
Obviously, I'm going to get ridiculous readings off of this. But, Amy, you're getting something over there?
Yeah.
The Meucci death mask. Now, this was something that's interesting. This was a plaster cast of Meucci's face, and it was sitting in a display case on the first floor of the museum. Now, every time we went to it, passed by it, we would get readings.
So let's see.
Cell sensor.
10:06 I have, so let's see how long it lasts.
Cell sensor's going off the scale. The Gauss master is getting a lot of readings.
We were getting readings, and it wasn't because of something electrical.
Another thing to note, when you look at meters of this type, it's a single axis. So essentially, when you point this at something, it just comes out in a straight line to a certain range. It's not like it's going to detect a whole area. So we're having it pointing at this mask, we're getting readings. So we know it's not coming from this electrical box.
Oh, okay.
Gone?
Gone. 10:08. We're also going to write down the time when the EMF detector was going off, just to see if there's any pattern.
Time check.
10:10.
10:10.
So like about a minute and a half.
We had enough gear, we had enough gadgets. The knowledge is out there, we just have to find it.
I'd be really interested to find out what our psychic said about this room and about this mask in particular.
Right.
I think it's time we take some EVPs in here. What do you think? Time to take some EVPs.
I can't say that I know every single theory about everything that's out there. There's electricity coursing throughout the entire building through the lights and through the power sockets. There are geomagnetic things going on under the ground. There's a lot going on. Not to mention cell phones, cable, Wi-Fi. There's so much happening that, I don't know, maybe that energy is being trapped in an area. It could be a haunting, but again, I'm not going to just say, oh, evidence, it's a haunting.
I also want to check that room because we actually found a lot of EVP in that room.
Okay.
So I'd like to check that also.
10:12 p.m. on January 13th, 2007. We're in the first floor of the Garibaldi Museum in the room that contains the Meucci death mask.
EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. It's disembodied voices captured on audio recording equipment.
For something like that, there's really no estimated time that you should wait or could wait for something. Of course, since we didn't ask it a question, we didn't ask a question, it's hard to say, well, how long is a good time to wait? I mean, theoretically, if there's a spirit here and it wants to communicate, it'll do so. So we either got something or we didn't. Let's move on. I will cop to the fact that the last time we were here, I felt very heavy in this room, very lightheaded. And actually, right now, I am beginning to feel a little lightheaded. I'm not going to say it's a paranormal experience, but it's unusual that every time I come into this room, I feel a little off. died and came back, the last place I would really want to spend any time is a basement.
Okay, this is at the end of the night. All the other investigations have already concluded. So now we're going to run one final investigation with everybody together and pool all of our information together for this last sweep of the building. Let's do it. We're going to start this investigation upstairs and work our way down. Let's go, guys. All right, so Lisa, why don't you start us off, please? We'll take it from there.
This is the room where I got the most information about the, what we called the big man. Him being very inventive person, visionary is how he described himself. And he was the one that held the secret meetings here that was some kind of religious sect that was also business mixed with religion. Only specific people were invited to it, and it had to do with people that were very important in the community. He has a very powerful energy to him. I don't get him as a negative or angry person, I just get him as a very intimidating person.
Meucci was actually an inventor, and he was a Freemason, as was Garibaldi. Both of them were considered revolutionaries and free thinkers. So it could be one of the two of them.
The big impression that I got was the older gentleman in this chair. This chair seemed like it was in this room for years, and that the older gentleman was taking naps while he was in there. It was one of his favorites.
I wonder if maybe you are getting impressions off of these objects, but maybe from former lives, because I can tell you that most of the things in this room that we were just speaking of aren't original to the house.
We didn't get any readings. We got nothing on the EMF detectors. We still have to analyze the audio we took on a digital recorder, so that might reveal something.
Now we're in the staff office on the second floor, and we'll start this room off with Paul.
Okay. All the machinery in here threw me off. Completely, totally, and utterly. I couldn't feel anything, and it blanked me out.
You've had other psychics here, obviously. You mentioned that. Have any of them reported the same type of thing that Paul says is going on?
Well, a lot of them come in and they seem to feel that if whatever is here in the house is maybe confused by it, by all the electronics, and we have a lot of trouble with all the electronics, linked or not, whether it be the copier malfunctioning at the same time as the fax and the computers, they all malfunction.
It's hard to measure anomalies in a room like this. You look around and we're surrounded by computers, we're surrounded by electronic equipment. And of course, when Amy and I got in here, we found our meters going off, and of course, it's because of the electricity. Now, if there were a presence in here, if there was a haunting of some type, it would be very hard to distinguish it from the electronics. I mean, the only way we'd be able to do so is if it's out here in the middle, and we weren't getting that.
This room had the happiest energy out of all the rooms in the house. I felt a little boy and a little girl, and they are the ones that are responsible for, because one of the other things that goes on in this place is that things get moved. And they're the ones, the mischievous ones that move things around, which might account for the equipment never working because they mess with it all the time. So they're doing it just to have fun and play.
That's also interesting because I personally experienced small objects that are maybe interesting to kids moving in certain places, me turning around and then turning back and then seeing them in the middle of my keyboard.
She was feeling things that I wasn't feeling. I was feeling things that she wasn't feeling. She seems to be more in touch with the actual spirit world.
At one point in the evening, I was sent up into the attic. Now, both Lisa and Paul sensed that there's something something up there. Brian, go into the attic. There's something up there. I can't exactly pinpoint where it is, but go up there and look.
I am up here in the attic. All right, my official report up here is that it's a lot bigger than you would think.
And Paul's saying, go into the corner. I see it, it's in the corner, under the floorboard.
Hey Paul, can you be a little more specific?
Go to the back right-hand corner, where the children were.
All right, Lisa's feeling it too, so I'm gonna try to go back there and see what I can get to.
It's kind of an interesting couple of minutes. I felt like, ooh, I'm gonna discover something up there. The attic, there's gonna be some kind of secret of the Masons. I'm gonna find some kind of secret ring or signet or map, and it's gonna be like national treasure, and it's gonna launch us into this big hunt for something greater, but I didn't find anything.
Okay, the last room for the evening, I guess,
It's the Meucci Gallery.
it's the main gallery?
Meucci Gallery.
The Meucci Gallery, my bad.
I think a lot of people have like felt like there were people walking back and forth in this room, between the two rooms.
I'm getting a reading right here in the middle of the room.
That was not there before.
And please tell me you got that.
I got that.
Antonio actually built that piano and played it. These things are original to the house, so they're going to carry more significance probably.
And now there's nothing.
Nothing.
That's fucking weird, dude.
My dog barks into this room all the time for no good reason.
This mask, I don't understand. Is something underneath it? Is there something inherent?
Clearly something was by the death mask. It was not electric because we checked.
Does that mean it could be something built?
The curator actually took out the mask and put it on this little kind of glass desk.
It was kind of bizarre because I could tell they were getting readings off of the mask, and we weren't really sure what was behind the case that the mask is enclosed in. So I decided to unlock the case and pull it out just to see what would happen. And we kept getting these readings off of the mask that were kind of inexplicable, and then they would stop after a little while. So I couldn't really explain that.
Hello. Hello, rabbit. Getting reading off the mask.
Chris and I, Amy and I, Lisa and Paul, everyone seemed to have an experience with that death mask.
What was it?
What do I think it was from? I couldn't even begin to tell you.
So you, Mr. Meucci? Do you want to tell me something? I'm here every day.
I swear I feel that person calling me again, and when you said that I just heard you. I want to tell you I'm not over there, I'm over here.
Is it Garibaldi or is it Meucci?
It's me.
Meucci.
So why are you here?
Oh.
You're right.
I'm disappointed you're back.
I'm telling you, he's following me. He's right behind me on my left-hand side.
Why are you following her?
I've never actually spoken to a spirit. It shocked me. It really did.
When Lisa started to speak to Meucci, I didn't know what to say. It was like, this is what the place is about, and she is right there speaking to the man himself.
You have a brother.
Do I have a brother?
Yeah.
Yes.
He says you don't believe any of this.
Who says that?
And he says to tell you, he wants me to talk to you about your brother. He says that you're very mean to your brother sometimes, and that you did something that you need to apologize for, and that you know you need to, and you still haven't, that he needs to hear that apology. Even though you get along better now, he still needs to hear those words from you.
Meucci did not refer to me specifically. Lisa Ann referred to me specifically.
He says you were 10.
I was 10? My brother picked on me when I was 10. So you'd have to reverse that, man. Totally.
Like, hey, I'm gonna get my brother back for something?
You killed his dog, didn't you?
He says you blamed him for something that you did, and he got in a lot of trouble for it. You were 10.
And it's totally, again, totally the opposite. I got in trouble for something that he did. Seriously, my name is Chris. My brother's Steve.
He says he knows very well who you are.
All right, then. I'm skeptical about all psychics. So, personality-wise, Lisa's a very nice girl. As far as, is she psychic? I couldn't say.
I don't necessarily give a lot of credit to psychics because I just don't believe the same things they do. She's my, she's my relative, she's my blood, so I kind of trust her in a way that I wouldn't trust other people.
Only thing I can comment on that whole issue is it was totally wrong.
Does this make you think that we're not taking you seriously? Is this why you get upset when I let people come in?
Certain people, yes.
Because I know you get upset, and I don't want you to be upset.
It's very important to him that people understand the history and what he was trying to accomplish.
That's what we try to do.
And there's a lot more that people don't know about what he's done. And he says in time he will share that. But he's not a very trusting person.
With good reason.
Some people that come in here just for their own good, not to share his story. And that's what he wants. He wants people who will help him share his story.
The Garibaldi Museum was quite interesting, and I had never even heard of it until our shoot.
I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years, and with each investigation, I get a little more skeptical.
I'm not the type to just jump and say, it's a ghost, oh my god, it's haunted, let's print up t-shirts and start the tours. I need a little more than that.
This would be like the last place I expected to find any proof.
I didn't expect it to go that well.
The three main things that I felt that goes on, people see shadows or you feel people standing behind you, that is definitely him because I experienced that myself. The footsteps that you hear upstairs, that's the wife. And the things being moved around were the children that were in the back room, and that was the little boy and the little girl.
I thought it was interesting to combine the psychic's impressions and the sensitive's impressions with the actual tools that scientifically measure energy.
The things that I picked up coincided perfectly with what myself and Lisa saw and felt.
2 psychics, 2 nights, 1 story. Something is there.
He had a purpose when he was here in life, and he has a purpose in death. And when people are here for good reasons, he's very happy, and when they're not, then they may get an impression of an angry person, but he's not a bad spirit that wants everybody out. He's very protective of what's happening here.
Of all the places we've been to, it's the most, I won't say conclusive, but it's definitely making me think twice about hauntings and the supernatural and life after death.
I think Meucci wants to be remembered as an inventor and as a pioneer, and that's what's very important about this house, is getting the history and the gifts that he brought out.
Well, it's been a long night and we've seen a lot. We all have our own opinions. Is the Garibaldi-Meucci Museum really haunted? As always, we'll leave that up to you.
Word.